Hi everyone, Shirtlad here. As some of you are aware, I've been hard at work, scripting another installment of the Crossbone Gundam Saga video series. Steel 7 to be exact. As such, I've decided to cover something that'll take a lot less time on the side. The game original units of Gundam AGE. A game rife with variants, be they simple recolors, or brand new stuff, such as this $store dendrobium here. I think I'll start with the variants of civilian models, the second category of the game's unit roster first, covering the mobile suits built at the Farden Colony, Madorna's workshop, and whatever spot the Basidian space pirates had. These will be covered in the order they're listed in the game's database, and if they're variants of existing units, I'll talk a bit about the base unit they originated from first. Now, sadly, you don't get much in terms of a flavor text with these, but I'll try to flesh out what I can. Also, when I mention star amounts, I'm referring to quality tiers. For example, a 3-star difficulty in-game mission will, for the most part, yield parts and technology drops used for manufacturing 3-star units, weapons and option parts. Generally speaking, since there are some exceptions. It's also worth noting that you can buy all parts up to tier 5 in the shops. They'll gradually become available as you progress the main story. Starting off, we have a variant of the 1-star Desperado, a mobile standard piloted by Ewart Breyer that can be purchased from the MS Factory shop at the Farden Colony. Its standard armament is a 1-star Power 90 heat pickaxe that the game counts as a hammer, and therefore inherits the weapon's skills. It's a work model that can pack a wallop in the right hands. Its Desperado Seg variant simply comes with a brown and yellow color scheme, being a 3-star unit whose blueprint is unlocked by inputting a password into the extra tab. Its unlock code is Arukure Mono no Kitai, translating to a Roughneck's Machine, which is ironic since the most well-known pilot of the Desperado has very little neck to speak of. The blueprint for this one also unlocks a heat shovel, which counts as a lance. So yes, it is compatible with the shot, needle and strike lancer skills. The shovel is also a 3-star 100 power weapon. There isn't much of a flavor text to the Desperado Seg, only being listed as a custom variant of the Desperado. Still, going by the naming schemes of the Xeno and Zilla, the Seg variants are slightly upgraded versions of their standard counterparts. Among these, only the Desperado Seg is playable. There's also Assault variants, which the Desperado does not have, but it'd be funny if it had one. It's a very plain unit with underwhelming stats across the board, but definitely a bit of an upgrade over the base Desperado. Going by its description, it does excel at ground combat, at least for early game jobber suits. The green mass production Shalldoll is a 1-star whose parts can be purchased at Madorna's workshop, alongside the later Shalldoll Kai. It's got a single game original variant, the Shalldoll Geo, which is blue and looks nice. Sadly, it is not a playable unit. Presumably though, it would have been geared for space combat, much like its original Shalldoll counterpart. Another Shalldoll variant is the Shalldoll Tori, which is actually a variant of the Shalldoll M, Madorna's custom unit, contrary to what the database's flavor text may state. It comes in yellow. Outside of the Shalldoll M style head, it inherits surprisingly little from its predecessor. Sure, it's a 5-star, meaning you at least get to bring a Shalldoll along for Kyo Asuno's story arc, but at the same time, the Mega Launcher skill does not carry over to this one. Despite losing out on that, it does have a respectable 5-stack SP pool. It's also built for space combat, but does well on the ground regardless. The Xalam Union has their own recolors, much like their rivals. Their mainline mass production model, the Zilla, does get 2 such variants. The Zilla Seg, featuring a yellow mono-eye and a green color scheme, with dark blue joints, and the Zilla Assault, which changes the mono-eye color to green and reverses its predecessor's color scheme, by which I mean brown joints and beige armor. Of these two, only the Zilla Assault is playable, being a ground-use 4-star unit that differs very little from its original, outside of stat and color changes. As for the faction's commander unit, the Gala also has a recolored variant, the Gala Assault, whose color scheme departs from the original orange and becomes brown, featuring a magenta mono-eye in place of a blue one. It's a playable 5-star unit that specializes in ground combat. Not much to be said about it past that, aside from its melee weapon being the Gala's Morningstar mace, as opposed to the Zilla's Heat Hawk. Things look very similar on the Elba Alliance front. The mass production model these guys have, the Xeno, also comes with 2 variants, the Xeno Seg and the Xeno Assault. The former has a lavender-like shade of purple, in place of the original Xeno's more saturated dark purple, as well as a green mono-eye. Still not playable. As for the Xeno Assault, it's a 4-star with a magenta-colored mono-eye and a light blue color scheme. Much like its commander-use counterparts in the Almeida and Almeida Assault, it is built for ground combat. Speaking of the Almeida, specifically its Almeida Assault variant, it's also blue, though the mono-eye color is now yellow. This one's a 5-star, and much like the standard Almeida, it has the heat sword in place of the Xeno's spear. By the way, yes, all of the Elba Alliance mobile suits and their variants have shields of the same color, much to the chagrin of whoever wanted them to match the rest of the color scheme. When it comes to the Basidian space pirates, the only game originals here are two variants of the Shalldoll Rogue. BMS-003 Shalldoll Rogue is a 4-star variant of the Shalldoll mobile suit. It comes with an integrated dodge buster in its right arm, and unlike in its other depictions, cannot replace its built-in weapons with any pre-existing weaponry. So yeah, you're stuck with its Mega Man loadout, composed of the 200 power dodge buster and a puny 50 power punch weapons. Even though the G-Cyphos, another pirate MS with a dodge buster equipped, can use anything it wants, even two-handed stuff. It's also built for space combat, in case you're curious, and it's the same for its variants. That aside, let's take a look at the variants themselves. The first one, which is unfortunately not a playable unit, is the Shalldoll Rogue, featuring a dark olive green, black and tan color scheme that looks pretty sick. Kinda reminds me of the Adele Supre and the Adele Mach 2 in terms of colors. Moving on though, we've got the Shalldoll Catil after that. This one's a 7-star unit that's painted like a Hot Wheels toy car, although the SP cap of 8 and vastly improved stats over its standard counterpart are nothing to scoff at. You're still stuck with the same dodge buster and punch setup, which wouldn't be as much of an issue if the damage on both of these got turned up a bit more, or if it was increased at all, but I digress. Still, it does look pretty cool despite these drawbacks. Then again, I just really like the Shalldoll Rogue, so my bias is showing quite heavily. So yeah, that is all of the game original variants of civilian and pirate mobile suits in the Gundam AGE PSP games. Now, if you're wondering what I think about the recolors, I do not mind them too much. They remind me of the trend in some RPGs where you get several variants of the same enemy encounter but with different seasonings, such as in the Dragon Quest series, in Final Fantasy, and in the Shin Megami Tensei games. Besides, the Hot Wheels-esque color scheme for the Shalldoll Rogue is pretty sick. One thing that I'm not a fan of is being stuck with outdated equipment whenever I choose to adhere to the variant's original loadout. Some units, like Clanch Enda, do come with stronger variants of pre-existing weapons, but oftentimes such is not the case, which is a bummer. On the other hand, I found it interesting that the Mono Eyes on the Zalem and Elba variants get a color change. That and the part tiers for the playable suits from this lineup do lend themselves to a bit of theory crafting, with where they could have been placed in the actual Gundam AGE canon. Anyways, I will see you on the next one. And if you've enjoyed my rambling, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. So long, and this has been the Shirt Lad, currently working on more stuff. Signing out.